Hey there, everybody. Josh here, and I'm going to talk a bit about the purveying of wild meats. It's something that I very much enjoy in my own life as both a hunter and a trapper, but also one that's often a subject matter that's often marred in misrepresentation and misinterpretation. So, as as like many aspects of this class, there is an element of philosophy and ethics. And I don't know that I have a fresh perspective on things, but I definitely have a piece that I would like to express to you. And it'll be linked to some of the philosophical issues that we've discussed already within this class. It is, as always, better to have these discussions in person, and that then allows for healthy debate and questions that actually allow for more of a whole part understanding of the issues, and then hopefully the development of personal ethos for each one of you as you wrestle with some of these issues. So today I'm actually going to teach you how to build a trap. It's going to be called the Paiute trap. It's a deadfall trap that's effective against small rodents, squirrels, mice, chipmunks, things like that. But along with that, I want to kind of let you know something that I don't necessarily advertise to the world because I can be misconstrued within it. But I am a trapper, and I've learned an incredible amount about the natural world as a trapper. And it's frustrating because this idea of me being a trapper and an environmentalist through popular culture's eyes, kind of the two are antitheses of one another, and I actually think that can't be further from the truth. There is, sides to both arguments, and certainly it would be dishonest of me to say that trapping is this incredible peaceable activity that is for everybody, because it's not, and there are parts of trapping that can be pretty brutal. With that being said, the way it's been portrayed by, oftentimes by popular culture, couldn't be any further from the truth. Modern trapping methods are utilized for conservation initiatives across this country and across the globe, and I guess it depends on your definition of harm, but animals are, if if they are targeted with best management practices, are extremely rarely maimed or damaged. In fact, I'd say that 90% of what I catch as a trapper, I release back into the wild, and I do it simply because it gives me that integral connection to the natural world that I cannot replicate in a classroom or by reading, what have you, but only through immersion, which you've heard has been a theme throughout this class. With that being said, reintroduction practices across the country have used the foothold trap as the chief means of reintroducing both the wolf, the otter, and the list goes on. Trappers are used to trap these animals alive and then transport them to new locations where they're attempted to be established. And I like to use the example of the wolves of Yellowstone, where, and I could be wrong, but a number of wolves died in, well, I know I'm not wrong about this, but a number of wolves died in custody after being trapped in Canada, while the merits of releasing the wolves in the Yellowstone ecosystem were argued in court. So I don't think it was the trapper that was the unethical one, but rather the system as a whole. You know, we have a pretty strong anti-trapping movement in the United States, and I want to be very sensitive to that movement because I think it does actually have some really valid points within it. But I guess I'd like to express my perspective, and my hope is that you would take my perspective for what it is and then incorporate it into your own life. But this argument of this idea that we can live in harmony with nature is really only possible through symbiosis. Like, everything that lives is a consumer, and it's how do we balance that consumerism with the natural world, and making the argument that we no longer need to trap or hunt for our food, to me, is kind of a silly one, because we've been on this course of consumption, of outsourcing our consumption by not having to face our consumption directly for what is a very short period in human history, and it is proven to be not sustainable. And I think in the future, it will be largely part of the demise of civilizations across the globe. And so certainly the United States is one of the most vocal anti-hunting and trapping philosophies and groups in the country. And I guess I kind of find that ironic, because we also are the country with the largest rate of consumerism. And to me, that doesn't mesh. I think that says we can do better. And it probably comes through a level of compromise, because, within hook, bullet, and trapping circles, it seems that perhaps we've become disconnected from our role as parts of an ecosystem, and the hunt becomes more about getting an image on social media, and we lose the real purpose, which is food and connection to the natural world. And then from there, in this country, suddenly one's ability to harvest game in the forest is a relationship with both technology, but moreover with money. So I'm talking about things where only the wealthy or the well-off can afford to be able to harvest animals effectively by using modern technologies, or by buying their way into a hunt, whether that be through trail cameras or food plots or plane tickets or expensive tools of harvesting. And I guess I'm at the point in my life where my desire to blend in and be a part of the natural world is far more valuable than getting the awesome picture that I can then put on my Facebook page, which in reality oftentimes comes from one's ability to buy their way into that elite club. So to put it, really kind of nail it home and put it into perspective, the reality for me is that I recognize I am a consumer. I am a competitor, and I desire to see my consumption in the most palpable way I possibly can. And I've probably alluded to this in this class before. I can tell you that extinguishing a life is not something that I take lightly. It's not something that I'm going to weep over for hours on end either. It's something that is incredibly humbling and really shows me my place in my world. It shows me what I am offering, what I am taking, and what my presence within my space means in a larger ecosystem. And I feel very fortunate to be able to do that. So the act of extinguishing a life from an animal that may be caught in a trap, or that I may harvest with a bow or even a rifle on tracking, is not something that I take lightly, and something that I feel very fortunate to be able to have the opportunity to do. And ultimately what it does is it shortens that line between my consumerism, directly shortens that distance between me feeling the emotions as well as the pragmatic aspects of my harvest. I have to face it. I have to look it in the eye, literally look it in the eye, if I am, say, trapping a beaver that I'm later going to make mitts out of. Or even if I am trapping a mink that later I sell, and then that puts a meal on the table for my family. I have to stare that right in the eyes. And trust me, when you're buying new clothing or food at the grocery store or driving your car, we never have to face that the consumption. Which ironically, again, I think if we had to face our consumption face to face more often, rather than buying our way out of facing it, perhaps we would be able to develop sustainable practices that would ensure quality management of our natural lands, and thus be able to their um, enhance their futures, but also simultaneously ensure our own species sustainability. So I could really go off on this forever, and I know I've got a lot of other points to make about it, but I hope that kind of makes some things clear for you. So at this point, I'm going to actually stop this video. We're going to be at the same location, and I'm going to show you how to build a Paiute trap.